Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's JPR, and welcome back to another video. Rivals have been an important cornerstone of Pokemon since its very inception, serving a pivotal role in pushing the main character forward on their journey in both the games and the anime. Though they may range from friendly to downright devious, they remain an important component of the journey all the same. In the minds of many people, the rival can sometimes be the make-or-break feature of any Pokemon journey. Which is why today, I'm here to break down what makes a good Pokemon rival, not just in the games, but in the anime as well. However, since there are so many rivals out there now, I couldn't take on this topic alone. So here to help me out are my good friends Tyrone, the Pokeraf, and the Insane Game Freak. Wow, I'm the only one whose name doesn't start with a T. I'm feeling a little left out here, guys. But in case you didn't know, this is part of a week-long crossover series between the PokePod and the Anapoke Bros that will conclude with the podcast tomorrow night on KG Prestige's Twitch channel, where we will all be present for the first time ever. So I figured I'd lead this discussion off with some examples of well-done rivals in the video games. Of course, the classic examples include the obvious rivals like Blue and Silver, two arrogant kids that you look forward to beating the snot out of more than anything else. Although some people believe that these cocky rivals are rather one-note, you can't deny that they accomplish their goals pretty well. There's always a sense of motivation that you can't lose to these guys. If you lose to Blue, which by the way you actually can in the first couple battles against him in Pokemon Yellow, then you're just fueling his ego and his desire to become the strongest trainer. Even if it wasn't done by Blue himself, it always felt so taunting just to know his name was already written on the statues at the front of every gym before you had even walked into town. He was always one step ahead from being the privileged grandson of Professor Oak to the Indigo League champion just minutes before you. Silver, on the other hand, is less about the competition for becoming the greatest trainer, and more so a battle of ideologies. You don't want to lose to Silver because that will just prove that his methods of stealing and brutally training his Pokemon are more effective than the morally right way. But what about friendly rivals? Sure, they tend to get a bad rap overall, but to an extent, I believe they can be executed quite well. Hugh from Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 is a personal favorite of mine. At surface level, he's just another childhood friend minding his own business during his ascent to the top, but he still has that competitive fire to him in a subplot involving his hatred of Team Plasma for stealing his little sister's Purloin. It feels like you fight alongside Hugh as many times as you fight against him, to the point where it feels like a secondary rivalry is brewing in who can take down Team Plasma the fastest. Speaking of Team Plasma, we have to talk about N. I know he's not labeled as a traditional rival, but he functions pretty dang close to one. And hey, who said you can't be the rival, the main villain, the legendary hero, and the champion all at the same time? Because I sure didn't. That sounds awesome. In a way, N feels like Silver, but taken to the extreme. Not only does a defeat against N strengthen his convictions, but puts the ideologies of the entire world at risk due to how much power is backing him. N is certainly not what I would consider a friendly rival, unless you and your friends have world-shattering arguments, in which case you probably need new friends, but he certainly is a departure from our typical outlook of a rival. And I think his existence proves there's a lot of untapped gray areas left in this category beyond just jerkwads and friendly neighbors. But for now, I think I'll cap it off at that. What do you got for us, Tyrone?
Thanks, John. With good rivals also comes bad rivals, and I don't mean like shoving you every time he sees you bad. You, Silver, I mean bad as in, oh god, you're worse than NPCs I've fought. Several rivals in Pokemon series have been this way either due to poor skill by picking a Pokemon that's weak to yours, or just flat out being pushovers, presenting no challenge to the player. We've got rivals like Trevor and Tyranno. Yep, so bad I put them in the same spot because they're just gimmicks. One likes seeing Pokemon, you see that? Great, okay, we done here? And the other one wants to be on So You Think You Can Dance. Okay? I think one of the reasons that they're so bad is because they're glued together. Neither one of these rivals gets a chance to experience the journey with you, the player, alone. Even when the game starts, they're all just sitting together at the table. You never get to fully learn about them outside of their one-note gimmick that they won in life. At least Shauna and Serena get some scenes to themselves that the player can just fully immerse themselves in, and challenges to getting there. Tyranno and Trevor just show up. Well, the game wrote them in here, so I guess. But that only scratches the surface of bad rivals when compared to this guy, Trace. Trace. A rival that's so bad he makes youngster Joey from Gold, Silver, and Crystal look like N from Pokemon Black and White. I mean, look at this guy. Every time he sees you, he gives you items. And I know what you're thinking. What's the big deal? That just means he's nice. No, he gives them to you with no context. It's creepy. I already don't like when Pokemon games coddle me, so to see a trainer do it every time he sees me gets old fast. And look at his team. I swear there's some moments where his Pokemon get weaker after you fight them. When you battle him on Route 22, all of his Pokemon have 4 moves. When you fight him again in the Pokemon League, they all have 3 moves. Where'd that 4th move go, Trace? Where the heck are they? And when you beat him, he's all happy. I beat you. You shouldn't be happy.
Tyrone! Damn, bro. Relax. It's okay. You good? Okay, cool. Nicely done, guys. So now that John and Tyrone have covered the good and bad examples of rivals in the Pokemon games, let's jump into the world of the Pokemon anime. Just like the game counterpart, rivals in the Pokemon anime frequently appear during the main protagonist's adventure, bringing out their own character and backstories to complement episodes in hand. The good thing about this is that it doesn't just focus on our boy Ash, but also his companions as well. In the context of the anime, there tends to be 3 categories of rivalry, these being friendly rivals, unfriendly rivals, and main rivals. Unfriendly rivals consist of minor clashes between individuals or groups that have opposite aspirations or just a conflict in character between them. For example, Jesse and James had an unfriendly rival with Butch and Cassidy. Iris had an unfriendly rival with Georgia, as she wanted to become a Dragon Master, whereas Georgia wanted to focus on defeating the Pokemon typing. Moving on to friendly rivalries, these tend to commonly be characters introduced in certain scenarios regarding a main character's goal, who end up building a friendly relationship with them. Examples of this can be trainers Ash has met during the leagues he's entered, with popular ones being Richie, Stefan, and Hal. May also formed a friendly rivalry with Drew and Soledad, and Dawn formed a friendly rivalry with Kenny during contests. Now let's talk about main rivals. These are rivals that bring a strong dynamic to the field, alongside development for not only the main protagonists like Ash, but also themselves. It could be a conflict in personality, goals, or just general concept of being a good Pokemon trainer. Let's start off by talking about Gary Oak. Since day one, Gary was always one step ahead of Ash. He always looked down on Ash with arrogance, and heck, he even got the desired starter Pokemon Ash wanted. He never thought Ash was up for the challenge of becoming a Pokemon Master, and this personality made him have a low opinion of Ash, making him superior in the rivalry. But this changed after his loss in the Indigo League. Gary knew he needed to change his character, and he later became more friendly and respectful to others no matter his past. When it came to the Silver Conference, this rivalry was still there, but the relationship between Ash and Gary was much more pleasant. Gary became a continuous motivation for Ash, and this characteristic was kept even when he decided to become a Pokemon researcher. After the whole rivalry being established from the famous Pokeball split, Gary's recurrence in the anime has shown how much he has developed. Despite being Ash's first main rival, the rivalry between them was great, and his humbleness had a massive impact on Ash as a friend. Another example of an outstanding Pokemon anime rival would be Diamond and Pearl's arrogant one Paul. Paul was the character we needed to push Ash even further after the conclusion of AG. He only cared about a Pokemon's strength and would dislike any weaklings, resulting in them being released. This clashed with Ash, and after all, our boy always believes that working with a Pokemon alongside caring for them will bring out their true potential and strength. And I'm sure you guys can all agree, especially what happened with Chimchar's arc. Paul only wanted to bring out Chimchar's Blaze ability to utilise it for the win ratio, and he would always traumatise the little monkey as well. But thanks to Ash, they managed to control their immense power, and of course, it paid off in the league. In terms of Paul as a trainer, he was very tactical, using his Pokédex to research moves, and he was even on par with Ash as he has travelled across the Pokemon regions, conquering gyms and participating in the leagues. The one thing that made Paul such a great rival in the Pokemon anime was how much of a counter he was to Ash. He was quite emotionless, showing no care or sympathy at all. He would often ignore Ash as he believed he was weak, and we've seen this in many examples, with the tag battle being the most well known. Even though he was a jerk to Ash, he did have high respect for Brock, and even when interacting with Dawn, he told her how Ash reminds him like his older brother Reggie, who like our boy, loves to bond with Pokemon. After the climactic clash at the Sinnoh League, this was when Paul finally decided to respect Ash for all of the efforts and character, especially after bringing the best out of Infernape. The opposite in character and whole persona of being a Pokemon trainer was what made Paul by far one of, or if not potentially the best rival yet to be shown in the Pokemon anime.
Now, since Rav has explained what makes a great anime rival while also giving great examples, I guess that means I get the gracious duty of handling all the trash. And man, there's a lot of trash. Why did I even agree to this? Anywho, to be fair, not all rivals are trash for the same reasons. In some cases, the examples I use you may not even consider to be trash. You're wrong, though. Let Let me explain why. Bad rivals can usually be put into nice little boxes. The first box being late introduction rivals. Rivals that are usually introduced very late, like right at or a few episodes right before the league starts. The biggest problem with these characters is simple: not enough screen time. Considering most regions have Ash and company traveling, collecting badges, and in some regions have companions doing their own thing, you think the writers would say to themselves, hey, the league's coming up and Ash has no rivals. Maybe we should fix that? No? Need more Pikachu filler? God, I hate this job. Examples of these type of rivals are characters like Tyson, Virgil, Morrison, Harrison, and Cameron. Alright, Cameron. Cameron has the privilege of being in multiple boxes, so he serves as a good segue into the next box. This box is full of holes. Rivals that seem to have the ability to cheat the rules of the story. In a way, they're almost mimicking Ash in some of his fights by harnessing the power of anime. The most notorious example isn't even Cameron. The creator of this box is the most infamous, Tobias. Tobias, who ironically also fits into the first box, literally feels like he was created to solely beat Ash. What truly makes him so unappealing is that we have no history with him. This character shows up at the end of DP and takes Ash's victory from him in the most ridiculous manner, overpowering him with legendaries, and if that wasn't bad enough, he beats one of Ash's best teams in the series with only like 2 Pokemon. Luckily for you all, I took my meds before recording this, so no rant like Tyrone for me. For the last box, it's Trip. Just Trip. Trip is one of a kind. I literally can't think of a character that's like Trip to put him in a box with. Trip has been around since the beginning of Black and White, and the idea of him is okay. The core problem was the way he was handled moving forward. He was meant to be somewhat cocky kid who looks down on Ash. Paul! He also has an arc midway through the series dealing with his assumptions of strength. Sharon! Then he loses the first round of the lead to Ash doing some anime powered nonsense. What the was that, Pikachu? Made no sense. Trip is like 3 concepts previously done rolled into one character, and as a result, he doesn't really feel like a character. The writer seemed to have come to the same conclusion considering he was dropped at the beginning of the league, and I'm not even really mad at him like Tobias. If anything, it just makes me sad. It just seems like a waste of a character, you know? Wow, kind of a somber note to end the video on. Ha! Oh well.
Well, that was certainly a lot to take in. Obviously, there is no one-size-fits-all approach for Pokemon rivals, and likewise, there are some rivals that some people love that others can't stand. I think a good way to sum things up is that a Pokemon rival pushes the main character, whether it be the protagonist in the games or Ash and his friends, past their current boundaries. Usually this approach is best done in a 1 versus 1 scenario, like Red versus Blue or Ash versus Paul. Like Tyrone said, this is part of why the XY rivals were so underwhelming in the games, is because they were all lumped together. While they had different goals, none of them were particularly competitive about it other than maybe Serena, and again, it didn't help that none of them were particularly great battlers. It made all of their encounters just feel like speed bumps in the story progression rather than something more pivotal. Of course, the anime hardly ever has to deal with that issue, but even there you have to make sure the rival is well fleshed out and keeps up an arc throughout an entire 3 to 4 year series. Like Terrell said, if someone just shows up at the end of the series as Ash's quote-unquote rival, then we can already expect the worst to happen. Likewise, if there's a situation like Trip, who starts off as the sole rival and later gets overshadowed by the countless other rivals in the series and ultimately disappears far too soon, then the whole rivalry just feels unsatisfying. Sometimes, of course, there are just outliers like Hao or Trace in the games who just aren't interesting despite them being the lone rival. Which begs the question, can friendly rivals be good? Or are they just inherently inferior to the jerk rivals? Honestly, I think they can. I already talked about Hop a little over a year ago in his own video about why I thought he was such a well-written character, but there's a very good reason why many didn't find him to be a good rival. It wasn't because he was friendly or reused Hal's animations, but more because he's incredibly oversaturated throughout the main story, and like the XY rivals, his battles are little more than minor inconveniences rather than actual challenges. But those are things that you can easily fix up. Once again, I raise you Hugh, who I already touched on earlier in the video. He's friendly, sure, but he shows up just enough throughout the game and is all things considered a pretty skilled rival, which gives you more of a sense of respect for him. That's just the thing, most of the time we have no respect for friendly rivals because they don't give us a reason to respect them. For every respectable friendly rival like Hugh, May, or Barry, you have a Tierno, Trace, or Hop who's just a total pushover. Part of it may also just be, like I said before, oversaturation. Think how many consecutive games in a row we had friendly rivals in before Sword and Shield finally said, fine, you win, here's a side of Bede. That's basically every non-remake from 2002 through 2018. I don't blame anyone for getting tired of friendly rivals over that span of time. But I think I'll turn this question over to you. Do you think that friendly rivals are inherently inferior to jerk rivals? Who are some of your favorite and least favorite rivals from both the games and anime? I'd love to see what you all think. Once again, thanks to the boys Tyrone, Raph, and Terrell for aiding me in the development of this video. Make sure you check out all of their channels in the description below and send some love their way.
Mr. JPR, thank you so much for having me today on the channel, and wow, I never would have thought I'd make a video with Tom Holland. Shout out to the other guys as well.
Yeah, thanks, Raph. Maybe I could be part of the T-Gang after all. And also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more great content coming soon, and I'll see you guys next time.